This week's Rack of the Week has an unusual start, a re-break shot, a couple of problems that need to be dealt with, and an unusual finish. But as usual, it's about solving the puzzle one shot at a time. Let's get into the rack. Welcome to this week's Rack of the Week. I forgot to lock the focus on my camera, but it does get better. I'm checking the rack right now because, if I can see the 15 ball like this past the rack, I can thin cut it backwards and send the cue ball off the bottom rail into the back of the stack. So I'm showing my key ball shot. I was way out of line getting on my key ball in this rack. I know that when you cut a ball thin like that with high English, it's going to come straight off the rail. But if you stroke it with a good follow stroke, maybe a hint of inside, it'll curve a little bit and then give you this path. And that's how I ended up there. So I can see the 15 ball past the rack. That's what I'm telling my opponent there. There, the focus is much better now. You don't want to try and do too much with this cue ball. A lot of people think, I got to use a lot of left English to hold the cue ball off this rail. Not really, because that just makes it harder to pocket the ball. I'm hitting it so thin, the cue ball is going to hit this rail and come up. Now, it is going to go to the right, and that's okay because I want it to come off the bottom of the rack to the side rail and out, hopefully. Let's see what happens. But when you're down on the shot, you only need to think about one thing, and that's the edge of the ball. Cut that ball cleanly into the pocket. You notice I didn't even hit it all that hard. Don't try and smash the rack. When you're hitting a bottom corner ball, it's very unlikely that you're going to open the whole thing. Don't get over ambitious with the shot. So even if this 10 ball didn't come up table, I've got a reasonable shot on the 3 or 12, but the 10 ball is obviously the shot. And I could either send the cue. Stop that. I wish my camera would. I forgot to lock the focus. I'm sorry, guys. I could either send the cue ball this way for the 8-9 or back this way for the 3-12. I don't know, player preference. But I know I want to come to the rail and then come off the rail. And that should give me an angle. I ended up with an angle on the 3. It should give you an angle on either ball. Now, I decided to go for the stack. So this is just a firm follow stroke. No position, just get those balls open. And it wasn't all that firm. It was somewhat firm. Now, let's pause and take a quick look here, because this is what I'm looking at. I have two trouble areas on the table, here and here. These two balls are ideal. This is a break ball, key ball combo. And either one of them can be a break ball, and either one can be the key ball for the other. So if possible, I'd like to preserve these balls to the end of the rack. And also, if possible, this one can be a key ball for the break shot as well. But I've got to deal with these two trouble areas, so how am I going to do that? I have a shot right now on the 6 where I can open up these two balls. And I've hit this one the wrong way too many times. I've always felt like sometimes you feel like I just want to come to the rail. I want to shoot the 6, obviously, draw the cue ball to the rail and bump the 11 out of the way and have the 7 next. And what happens is you do that, then the cue ball goes back to the rail and freezes to the rail underneath the 7, and you have no shot at all. So I've learned from experience, don't get cutesy with this shot. Hit it hard and get those balls open. So instead of trying to come underneath the 11, I want to hit the rail and come into the face of the 11 so that the cue ball goes this way. And I'm not sure what ball I'm going to shoot next. Maybe the 3, maybe the 8, I don't know. Maybe the 2 or the 1. I'm just making sure that I get these two balls separated and get the cue ball loose from there. So right now I'm dealing with this problem, and then if that gets solved, then I'll think about how to deal with this one. So you don't want to draw this too much. This is a lot of right spin to make sure you get that cue ball to nudge that 11 and come off the 11 so that the cue ball comes free. Ended up with a good shot on the 8 ball, and the natural path for the cue ball is this way. So I'm playing it over here because I've got 2 balls to shoot in this pocket. And that's really my only thought right there. go to the rail and come off the rail, and then you're guaranteed to have a real good bridge at these balls, and you can accomplish something. So now I'm taking a look at this stripe ball into the side pocket. The reason is my next problem to deal with is these two. Now, if I get an angle on the 4 just right past the 9, I can cut the 4 ball into this pocket. But where's the cue ball going to go? So what I'd rather do is run into those balls and open them up a little bit. And what I looked at when I just looked at that stripe is I looked at the shot line for this 14 into the side. And if I can get my cue ball just above the shot line to the 14 in the side, then my cue ball goes forward into these balls. And if I can split these balls, in other words, if the cue ball goes right between the 4 and the 9, then those two separate. I'll have a shot on either the 4 down this way, the 9 up this way, or the 13 back this way. So that's a real high percentage play, assuming that I can get the cue ball where I need it to be, but it doesn't have to travel far. So it should be very doable. And as it is, I end up dead straight. I'm like, darn it. What am I going to do now? Well, I'm still not just shooting balls randomly. Yeah, I looked at what the angle I need in order to go here. Because I could shoot the 14 and just try and roll forward to here to shoot the 4. I decided not to do that, and the reason is I've got a good angle on this 13 to come 2 rails. Now, I already looked at the shot line. Shot line for the 14's here. So 2 rails on the 13, like that, guarantees I'm above that shot line, which I am. But I'm too far above it, so I can't follow forward and hit the 4. So I'm going to use the 1 ball because I happen to have a great angle on the 1. Same thing that we just talked about with the 2 balls that were tied up on the bottom rail is here. I could try and send the cue ball to the rail first and then into the 4 to knock it away. And that might work, thinking that I'd have a shot on the 14 ball next, or maybe the 9 ball up in this upper corner pocket. But once again, same thing. How many times have I hit this shot, hit it perfect, knocked the 4 ball away, then the cue ball bounces off the 4 into the rail and freezes right behind that 9. You got no shot, except the only shot I might have would be on my break ball, which I wouldn't want to do. So I've learned from experience, same thing. I'm going to send the cue ball directly into the 4 with some speed. That way those balls are going to separate. The cue ball should have right English on it, so it shouldn't move too far. And in this way, I should have a shot on that 14 ball in the opposite side pocket, if not one of those other balls. So don't baby that. Get those balls separated. So now it becomes pretty standard. This is the 2 balls, my break ball, obviously. The 9 ball would be a great key ball into the side pocket. The 2 ball is kind of an extra ball. It could also be a key ball. It depends how you want to play it. I'm a little bit, I have a pretty good angle on this 14. I might, if I had less angle, I might want to just shoot the 14, draw the cue ball back here to shoot the 2. Then I can go 2, 3, 11, just come up here for the 9 ball as key ball. That would be a real good pattern. So in other words, 14, 4, 3, 11, 9. That's a real standard straight pool pattern. But I have too much angle on this 14. So I decide, and I can cut the 14 softly and just bring the cue ball over here to shoot the 3 next. So I decided to go 14, 3, 11. And then I can shoot the 11 and come up here for the 9, or I could come up farther for the 4 and go 4, 9, 9, 4. Depends on exactly where the cue ball goes, how that works out. Now, if I had even more angle on this 14, I would have to play the cue ball to this side of the side pocket and off. So I'd have a longer shot, but as it is, I just barely had enough rail to roll it in. So on this shot, what you want to do is follow the cue ball down and get into the habit of going to the rail and off. And I make the mistake of just going to the rail. What you don't want to do is slow roll that, and then the cue ball stops here, and then you have way too thin of a cut. So when you shoot this shot, you want to play it with speed, where the cue ball hits the rail and bounces off. Then you're almost always going to end up with a good shot. Now, you notice there I'm dead straight in on my 11 ball, so I took a look before I shot the 11. I'm not going to try and draw the cue ball out and spin it up with a lot of spin. I'm just going to accept what I have. And I looked at the angle on cutting the 9 in the side, because the cue ball is going to go to the head rail. And what I like about that shot is the cue ball naturally picks up outside English. It's going to be spinning this way. because of object ball contact. And so that should make the cue ball come back a little bit to the right, so I get a shot on the 2. I want to get at least straight, and if I get here after cutting in the 9 ball, then I can shoot the 4, bounce off the rail, and I'm on the 2 ball. So not really worried. This isn't my plan, and it's not preferred, but this is an easy shot to just tap this 9 in the side, go to the head rail, and come down. Unfortunately, the right English that I was expecting didn't happen, and I just came straight down from the head rail, so I've got the wrong angle on my key ball. Now, get out of the way. Okay, so I'm looking at where I want to be on the break ball. The key to this shot, you need to, obviously I'm going to go, let me pause this. Obviously I'm going to go across table and back. But the key to this shot is you don't need to draw the cue ball at all, because if you draw it, you're going to end up coming in this angle, hit this side rail, and then you're going to have left English from contact with the object ball, and the cue ball is going to spin way up table. So the key to this shot is you need to, don't use any draw, you're just stunning the cue ball, and you actually want it to go lower on the rail than the 4 ball is now, and then the left English, which you're going to put some left English on it. It's going to pick up some left English from contact with the object ball, and that's going to spin it back up this way. That's also going to slow it down, because the cue ball is taking a reverse angle off the rail. So you can hit it harder, you can control the speed much better. So that's the key to this key ball shot. Again, not ideal, but it's what I have to work with. See how the cue ball went in at one angle and came back at a sharper angle. And that lets you control the speed much better and keep the cue ball on this half of the table below the side pockets. This is a backwards cut break shot. I've been noticing lately, as I've been reviewing a lot of straight pool runs by John Schmidt, Jason Shaw, and others, they prefer this inside angle all the time. You don't have to do too much with the cue ball, just a straight high ball. Cue ball is going to hit the rack, go to the bottom rail, stay safe. Just focus on cutting that ball into the center of the pocket and getting topspin on the cue ball. Really hard to go wrong with a break shot like that. I hope you enjoyed that. Please give me a comment, like, and subscribe. Check out my book on straight pool at shortstoponpool.com, and check out my custom wood pool ball racks at satoriflatrack.com. Thank you.